Welcome back to Footballology. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons for their offseason grade. If anything about this team that I remember last year was a really inconsistent defense and spotty at times. Offense that really lost their identity. I mean, they were kind of like a pass offense, but they kind of wanted to run. Todd Gurley never got back to form and expected, like a lot of people, and me included, expected him to really kind of pop off and become Todd Gurley of old, but he just seemed like he just came like a goal line back, essentially. Ended up getting 9 touchdowns just because he would get down there and he just run it in. But that was Todd Gurley for you, and that's really, I think that's what he's just become. Also, you look at Julio Jones. He gave them some solid production while he was on the field, but his injuries over the last couple of seasons have been a big issue. Calvin really had a career year. I'm pretty sure it was a career year, and he just blew up completely with 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns himself. So their offense, like I said, at times had an identity, but at the same time, it felt like it had some inconsistency. I think the team overall had inconsistency, but mostly the defense. The defense struggled mightily on the secondary or on the back half of the defense. The front half couldn't get any pressure, and the middle of the defense felt like it was just kind of there. Dan Quinn still tried to rally this team to win some games, but they ended up ultimately going 4-12, if I remember. And it wasn't enough. And so going into this offseason, we knew that the Atlanta Falcons were looking for a big overhaul and ready to do things differently. So now we jump over to the Atlanta Falcons offseason and really their free agency period. Now, one thing it doesn't show in here is them bringing in Arthur Smith at the head coaching position. I think Arthur Smith is going to add some kind of identity to this team. And it's really kind of crazy because I'm not sure which way they're going to go, because I'm not sure if they're going to have the run game that Arthur Smith has been accustomed to having while he was in Tennessee. And what is Matt Ryan? And that's why I think a lot of people projected him to go get a quarterback. Matt Ryan's getting older. The offensive line is decent. But it's like, what are we offensively? And I don't know if Arthur Smith is, I'm not saying he's not the right guy, but I'm not sure if he has what he needs to end up getting this offense to where he wants it to be. But we look at one of their transactions in March, Eric Harris, the safety. I'm pretty sure he's coming over from the Las Vegas Raiders, and he is actually a pretty decent safety for them. I think he's more of like a box safety, but I think he can play high as well. But he's one of those guys that's going to give you some solid production, and they only put him on a 1-year deal, 1-year prove-it deal nonetheless. And like I said, a lot of teams are bringing in a 1-year prove-it deal just to kind of give themselves an identity to see what they want at that position specifically. You look at Bricarvius Mingo. This man's just bouncing around the league at this point. But once again, just an outside linebacker. They could probably add some speed and depth there. So I really like that. That's a pretty decent one. I'm not even sure if he's on the roster anymore. This video is so delayed. Mike Davis at the running back position for 2 years. Now, I think the reason why they gave him a 2-year deal versus a 1-year deal is because they possibly could see him being that, hopefully, that focal point of the run game and have a guy that can move forward and really help them out. Having Josh Andrews at center, I think they lost Alex Mack to free agency, so that makes sense. 1-year deal. And then you just keep scrolling down and you look at some other guys and some other pickups they had. Cordell Patterson, running back. This man is just trying to find a way to get on the field, and I can respect that. But Cordell Patterson, their running back, let's see what that's going to look like. He's going to pretty much be their gimmick gadget guy. And it's going to be really interesting now with that backfield and what it's going to look like. AJ McCarron for youth and backup help at this point. Like I said, Matt Ryan's getting older, 1-year deal as well. They got a lot of these guys on a 1-year deal. So what this tells me is Atlanta is projecting into a rebuild. They're not going to do great this year, but what they're doing is they're trying to set some foundational pieces in place, getting a lot of 1-year contracts out, because I don't see Atlanta being that dangerous. And then the last one is Taj Sharp, the receiver, is what we're going to talk about. I really like Sharp, and I'm pretty sure he's coming over from Tennessee, where he's been in that same system for quite some time. So he's going to be a guy that can really probably translate really well into this, and especially with them losing Julio to free agency. So I think, or not to free agency, sorry, to a trade. But ultimately what I think is what this tells me in this free agency period is that we're going to be competitive because we're pros, right? But we're not looking to be dominant or to try to take over things. I think Arthur Smith is trying to lay down a foundation and a culture right now, and then hopefully get some of these veterans to buy in, and then hopefully end up having a good draft class to really buy in and really start to set this culture and this new foundation for the Atlanta Falcons. Moving to the Atlanta Falcons draft class, the first thing we're going to talk about is Kyle Pitts. Now, I get it. I understand completely, and anybody knows my channel, I love a quality prospect. Kyle Pitts graded out amazingly for his size, weight, and the 40 time he put up, the way he looked in his drills, everything. I get all of that. But was he a top 5 worthy? Only to the right team. he was a luxury pick. It's a luxury pick position for a team like the Atlanta Falcons who didn't have the luxury. And I said that in my mock draft. Like, I get why they wanted to do it, but for me personally, a guy like Patterson made sense, or even trading down would make even more sense, because trading down would have gave them more value at the pick, and then possibly taking a quarterback. I would have been even decently okay with that, because you have an aging Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan could possibly be taking a step back. He loses his top target in Julio Jones. Granted, Julio hasn't been healthy, but I was not in love with the pick for Kyle Pitts. He graded out amazing for a prospect, so yeah, I get it, but I just didn't think it was the right pick for the Atlanta Falcons. Moving to the second round and Richie Grant, I think that was a really solid pick for them. I had them getting Patterson originally in the first round, but they get a defender in the second round, and Richie Grant, I think, can add some depth and some decent play at the secondary position for the Atlanta Falcons. I think that's something that they really need, like, badly on the defense. Getting Jalen Mayfield in the third round, I think, is a really solid pick. You guys know, if you're taking offensive lineman, I'm all on board regardless. But it kind of threw me off, considering the fact they had Caleb McGarry there, and they also still got Jake Matthews at the left tackle. But I think they possibly could be trying to move on from Jake Matthews, so maybe Mayfield slides in there. Who knows? I don't know how they're going to end up shuffling this offensive line. But hey, offensive lineman any day of the week, I'm on board. And then the guy that I just did some research on, Darren Hall. Darren Hall seemed like he's another corner or secondary player that's going to add more depth and just overall physicality to this secondary. His play style is very physical, and I think that's going to be really interesting how it translates into the NFL. Not saying he's going to get more PI calls or anything like that, but he definitely is a physical corner, and is a guy that I think is going to add some quality play to him for sure in the secondary. And then there was one other person. Okay. And then we're just going to scroll down to Frank Darby. Now, Frank Darby, in my opinion, I thought was going to be like easily like a fourth, maybe even a third rounder. And they ended up getting him in the sixth round. I think that was a really, really good pick for them, a really strong pick for them, a big receiver that's going to add some actual depth to this receiving core. Like I said, losing Julio Jones, you definitely now are looking for your target two. I mean, Kyle Pitts is probably going to be your target two. So at this point, you're probably looking for like option 3 and 4, because you still got the run game factor in. So it's really going to be interesting to see how they're going to use Frank Darby. He is a big receiver, or a bigger receiver, and I think that the way that the Atlanta Falcons are trending right now, they're going to easily be one of those teams that are not going to do good this year. But I think next year, when they get their quarterback and they actually start to trend in the right direction, because this is going to be such a rough year for Atlanta Falcons. Such a rough year, because I don't think this team is going to be anywhere nearly as competitive, especially the division that they're in. So ultimately, I got to give the Atlanta Falcons a B. And it's not for Kyle Pitts. If they didn't do what they did after they took Kyle Pitts, as far as really getting deeper into the defensive side of the ball, taking a couple of defensive linemen, taking a couple of DBs, and actually addressing the defense as much as possible, it would have been lesser, because their free agency period wasn't that strong. And the reason why I know the reason for that is because they don't have money on the books, paying Matt Ryan the money they're paying him. They still got Calvin Ridley that's going to be possibly coming up for a contract soon. And I think they got rid of a lot of other players that are really still hindering their books, and got a lot of dead money on the books right now. So the free agency period wasn't as strong, but I think coupled with Arthur Smith getting a new regime in there, getting a new voice, getting a new culture set in there, and we're talking about rebuilds. You got that foundation in place, or that foundation piece in place with Arthur Smith. And then you get some young defenders in there in the draft, and then you still, granted, I don't love the Kyle Pitts pick. It's nothing against Kyle Pitts. I think he's amazing, but I don't think it's the right fit for the Atlanta Falcons in the direction that they're going. I would rather for them to get some more foundational pieces, some more impactful player pieces, quarterback, offense. I would say offensive lineman, but that'd be kind of high. But even trading, like I said, trading down at that pick would have been made more sense, because you create more value and you get more bodies on your team. This defense is going to be such a big hindrance for this team. I'm not sure where they're going to go, but ultimately I think they deserve a B. They did well in the offseason for what they had and with the resources that they had at their disposal. But bringing in Arthur Smith with the new regime and getting some of the defenders that they did, they're going to be competitive because they're pros, but they're not going to be a good team, because they're just they're really in a really strong division, first of all, but they're just not that good of a team. So that's all I have for you guys. If you're a Atlanta Falcons fan, I know you're probably going to hate me for this, because I say a B, but then I tear down everything. But I really do feel like they deserve a B for everything that they've done so far. But if you're a Atlanta Falcons fan, let me know what you think. If there are a transaction that I overlooked or I didn't talk about that you feel like that should get graded higher or something that should be talked about more, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you're not a footballologist yet, I don't know what you're waiting on. Go and hit that subscribe button today, become a footballologist, and stay safe, football fans.